CEOs, and again, the information that you've been provided in these is very helpful, and I want everyone to get the hang of it. We're getting a lot from this. And of course, I imagine CCO boards will be considering the very same metrics which are concerning us so much this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Kia ora koutou councillors. I've been asked to cover off a few highlights in relation to CCOs. Happy to do that. My masterful plan to exhaust all questions with Peter sitting in the chair next to me seems to have failed. Look, I'm conscious that we're not yet in our normal rhythm in terms of CCO reporting into the new committee structure and so on. So I just want to cover off a couple of housekeeping points as well, and then go to highlights with the CCOs. So just so you know what to expect in this space, obviously there will be monthly group level reporting into this forum, which will cover key performance stuff for the CCOs. And we will, working with the Mayor, we will look to bring CCOs through here if and as necessary. But the key sort of mechanism in terms of accountability will be the CCO committee and the Transport and Infrastructure Committee. And to that end, we will be working with Councillors Watson and Walker in their chairing capacities to make sure that the programme around accountability for CCOs is managed, and you will have the opportunity, obviously, to see more detailed stuff and interaction with the CCO chief executives and board chairs through those mechanisms. So I should also mention that there is also visibility for and of the CCOs through the Audit and Risk Committee for those who are nominated members of that committee, and they will regularly come through there talking to risk and other issues in their space. And then finally, just to acknowledge that the Expenditure Control and Procurement Committee, under the oversight of another councillor to my right, is part of this as well, because CCO expenditure will have some visibility to that committee. That's a little bit of the housekeeping. If I just reminder really that there are a number of levers in terms of accountability for CCOs, most particularly the important letter of expectation and statement of intent process, which is to be worked through and kicking off very shortly, and we'll be working with the Mayor in that regard. Such an important aspect of this in terms of giving clear expectations and direction to the CCOs. I would also like just to take the opportunity to acknowledge to those councillors who have liaison councillor responsibilities with the boards that we will be working with you and supporting you in terms of that role, including looking to bring you together next week to discuss what that support looks like, and to talk through the nature of that role and how it interacts with the boards. So just down to a little bit more in terms of highlights. If I go through the CCOs very quickly, Tātaki Auckland Unlimited, really 2 points there. They are continuing to see recovery, if you like, in terms of the numbers of people attending events, participating in or attending venues under their direction. In the quarter, we're back up to over 500,000 ticketed attendances at Tātaki Auckland Unlimited venues. The reason I mention that is that it goes to post-COVID recovery, having obviously had a very difficult period of time prior to that. More generally, for quarter one, Tātaki is on track to achieve its performance measures, that which is in their current statement of intent. Okay, so they're going okay. Eke Panuku, likewise, they have a range of metrics. Just speaking to councillors who might not be as familiar with this, ranging from property sales, revenue optimisation stuff, and measures in terms of the outcomes from their developments, number of residential units, commercial footprint that they're enabling through the Transform and Unlock projects and so on. There are 12 of those, 9 are on track, and it's not that 3 aren't, it's just that they're not measured on a quarterly basis, they're measured on a longer term basis. Watercare, the story with Watercare likewise is pretty positive in terms of their statement of intent measures. They are on track with their capital program. It is under pressure because of some of the factors referenced earlier in terms of labour supply, supply chain pressures and what have you, but they are on track with their capital program. They're they're not meeting one of their performance metrics, which is in relation to sewerage overflow, so a water quality related metric, and they submit that that's largely down to adverse weather conditions causing problems, and obviously they've got a significant program of work to remedy that through the Central Interceptor and other interventions. Auckland Transport, very hard to cover Auckland Transport given its breadth and scope quickly in an update for you now. Their capital delivery is lower than budget. It is consistent with where we were this time last year, but they are experiencing pressures in terms of their capital works program for the reasons mentioned earlier. Staffing, supply chain issues and such like. So their quarterly report reflects that pressure. They are, I think councillors are aware of this, the sort of ongoing slow recovery in terms of public transport patronage. I know that's been traversed in briefings with you. They're currently at about 67% of where they were pre-COVID. So it's a slow and painful recovery with obviously ongoing revenue consequences in that space. Mr Mayor, I'll leave it there, I think. Happy to answer any questions, noting that the deeper dive around CCO performances with those other committees in due course, when they will be there to answer questions as they appropriately should in terms of their own accountability to you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Ferry.
Thank you. I'd nearly forgotten. My question is actually sort of a more general question, really, which, you know, a lot of what we've found with the discussion with Peter, and I suspect with the discussion we're about to have, is more in the economic space, and I wonder if it would be useful to have the Chief Economist as part of these discussions as well, because, you know, no offence to the expertise of the two people in front of us, that might help in terms of some of these larger macro issues.
Okay, I'll note that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'll just check to see whether the Chief Economist predicted it as well as I did.
All right. Thanks.
Councillor Dalton.
Thank you. Phil, I'm wondering, given the limited numbers on the Expenditure and Control Committee and the CCO Committee, and going back to the conversation that we just had with Peter, whether there is a snapshot from the audit and risk that needs to come to the full committee at some meeting and whatever form. So we've got the matrix, and also what I was referencing to Peter was around the projected OPEX for CRL, the things, that list of stuff that was asked during the questions, the sale of the Watercare assets, or the transfer of the debt if Three Waters goes through. I think the things that, because I'm hearing these questions come up quite regularly, and I think if they are in audit and risk, and sure, councillors can go to the meetings or they can read the minutes. My experience is that doesn't happen. But I think to avoid re-litigation and to ensure everyone is informed and the information is in front of them could be helpful. And I don't mean redoing a whole new document. There might just be something that can come out of that audit and risk. It's quarterly, isn't it?
Thank you, Councillor. The audit and risk is a quarterly rhythm, that's right. We do bring routinely reports back up from audit and risk, so there's visibility around the governing body table. The chair does an annual report that's possibly not as useful given its infrequent nature. I'd note that the Audit and Risk Committee, of course, also provides commentary and input at critical moments in terms of the annual plan and annual report process, so that's another mechanism to give it visibility at this level.
I don't know what it is. I don't know. I wonder if it just has to have more of be more prominent, because those reports come through. I mean, I attend audit and risk, but the questions keep coming. So I don't know if it's just how it's presented, that it's not, that maybe it needs to be bullet pointed, I don't know. But yeah, thanks.
I'm happy to discuss that with the Mayor in terms of visibility at this committee.
Yeah, thank you for that question. My experience with audit and risks is that nobody pays them all that much attention until you get a whoop whoop pull up moment, which we are at the moment. So I would be most surprised if the audit and risk minutes aren't read much more widely this year than they possibly were last. Okay, that was a very full discussion, and thank you for all those who participated. I'd like to have a move and a seconder to note the information provided in the performance reports. Simpson and Leone. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. It was a very good debate, very good, helpful debate. Right.